are watching Miami Temple Kids.
In my wrestling, in my doubts, in my failures, you won't walk out. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are the peace in my troubled sea. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. My lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. I won't fear what tomorrow brings. With each morning I'll rise and see. My God's love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, my lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. My lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. My lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore.
Good morning, guys, and happy Sabbath. Today is September 12th. We're halfway through our September lessons. Right now, it's time for another Sabbath School Lesson review with your Miami Temple teachers. Primary, juniors, early teens, remember you guys have your Zoom class at 1 p.m. this afternoon, okay? So we'll see you in a little bit. And now it's time for a Sabbath School Lesson review. Bye. Good morning, beginners class. How are you guys this week? I hope you've had a great week. Last week, Teacher Debbie gave us a story for this new month. Do you guys remember what your memory verse is? We'll repeat it, okay? Ready? Do good to each other. Good job. Do good to each other. That's found in 1 Thessalonians. I know that's a very long word. 1 Thessalonians 5:15. So now we're going to watch a video about the Shunem husband and wife who built the special room for Elisha. All right? We'll see you guys at the end of the video. Bye.
One day, Elisha made his way to a town called Shunem. There was a woman in Shunem who had a lot of money. Anytime Elisha would pass through Shunem, this woman insisted that he come and eat at her and her husband's house. She loved having Elisha over for meals. Elisha would pass through her town so much that eventually she said to her husband, "You know what? We should build a room for Elisha on top of our house. We could put a bed, a table, a chair, and a lamp in it for him. That way he has somewhere to stay when he's passing through." So that's exactly what they did. Elisha was so grateful that one day he had his servant named Gehazi go get the woman and bring her to Elisha's room. Once she got there, Elisha had his servant Gehazi say, "You went through all this trouble for us. What can I do for you?" The woman didn't say anything that Elisha could do for her. So Elisha asked Gehazi what he thought they should do. Gehazi answered saying, "Well, she doesn't have any kids, and her husband is pretty old. That's it, Elijah thought. Then he told Gehazi to go tell the woman that by this time next year, she would have a son. The woman was in disbelief. "Don't lie to me," she said. But Elijah wasn't lying. Within the next year, she had a little baby boy.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video that we saw. Remember what our memory verse is? Do good to each other. And that's found in 1 Thessalonians 5:15. All right, guys, I will see you next week. Bye. Happy Sabbath.
Today's memory verse is serve each other with love. Galatians 5:13. Bye. Happy Sabbath.
Kindergartners, hello. Happy Sabbath. Alyssa, thank you for reminding us of the memory verse. And I'm going to say the memory verse again at the end, just in case you forgot. But good job, Alyssa. Thanks for helping out. I would tell you the title of the story, but then you'll know what's going to happen. So I'm not going to tell you the title. We've been talking about Elisha for maybe 3 weeks now, and God has been using Elisha to do great miracles. But it's not over yet. I have another story to tell you about Elisha. Now remember 2 weeks ago, or was it last week, he went to visit the Gilgal School of the Prophets. Oh yeah, that was just last week. Now he's going to another school of the prophets this week. And when he was going there, before he got there, the children at the school of the prophets were having a problem. See, another kid just came to the school, and these are young men who want to be able to listen to God's voice and be prophets to tell other people what God wants them to do. So now the school is getting crowded. There are too many young men who want to learn how to be prophets. And there's nowhere to put anybody else. They're squished in there. But Elisha's coming, and that makes them happy because when Elisha comes, he talks to them, he listens to them patiently, he gives them good advice. Oh, that's what they could do. They could ask Elisha what they should do about this crowded school. So when Elisha came, they were so happy to see him, and they said, "Elisha, we are so crowded in this school. There's no more space here. What can we do?" And they thought about it together. God gave Elisha an idea. And Elisha said, "Well, maybe we can make the school bigger." And the young men said, yes, we can do that. Can we go down to the Jordan River and cut down some trees to make a bigger school? Elisha said, yes, that is really a good idea. So one young man went home to get an axe from his dad. Right? So he got the axe, and all the other young men got their axes, and they went down with Elisha to the Jordan River. Okay, here's one young man with his axe. Now you know what an axe is? It's a tool, yeah, used for chopping down trees, or yeah, I guess chopping down trees. And it has a handle made of wood, and the top part is made of metal. So this is what they were using to chop down the trees. Now, this young man was talking to Elisha. And I guess he had his axe too, but we just don't have that in the picture right now. So as they were chopping down the trees, all of a sudden, they heard one of the young men say, "Oh no, my axe head!" What had happened? His axe head had fallen off the handle and fallen into the water. Oh my goodness, that was terrible. He said, "It wasn't even mine. I borrowed it. What am I going to do? What am I going to do?" He was so upset because it wasn't even his axe. Now Elisha came over, calm as anything, and Elisha said, "Where did that axe head fall?" Exactly. And the boy pointed to a place in the Jordan River where the axe head had fallen in. So Elisha, okay, God told him this, right? Elisha took a stick from the ground and he threw it into the water, right where the axe head had gone down. And you know what happened? That axe head floated right up to the top of the water. And the young man could go and get the axe head back out of the water. Now, that's amazing. Can an axe head float? This part is made of metal. It cannot, well, it's a paper one, but the real one is made of metal. That doesn't float, it sinks. But God cared about these young men. You might think it's a little thing to have this happen, but this was a miracle. God cares about even the little things that happen to you. Even if you hurt your toe, like my toe here, can't see my toe, but even if you hurt your toe, God cares about that, and He wants you to feel better, and He wants you to heal and not be in pain. Now, Elisha was used by God to do a lot of miracles. I'm going to tell you another story next week also. But remember that God can help you also. You don't have to be a prophet. You don't have to be an adult. Anytime you talk to God, or even if you pray for other people, you can help them, because prayer is very strong. They had prayed about that axe, and God told Elisha what to do. Now, if your parents made this picture for you, or made it larger, then you can color it and cut it out, and then maybe you can tell somebody in your neighborhood why you have this axe. Or maybe you can give it to them and tell them the story. Now, your memory verse, as Alyssa told you, was serve each other with love. Let's try that. Serve, hold your hands out like you're serving somebody food. Serve each other, point to somebody else, with love. One more time. Serve each other with love. And where in your Bible is that found? Pretend Bible. Galatians 5 verse 13. Galatians 5 verse 13. And it says what? Serve each other with love. Elisha used love to help these young men this young man get his axe back. Now, if you want to find the whole story in the Bible, you have to look in a book called 2 Kings, because there are 2 kings, 1 Kings and 2 Kings. 2 Kings, verse 6, and it says, the floating axe head. That's why I didn't want to tell you the title of the story, because then you would know that it would float back up. So, I have something to talk to you about. We've talked about a lot of people in the Bible. People who God has used to do things or to help other people. So let me see if you can remember. I need my glasses for this part. All right. Now, the answer is underneath the flap. Okay, so I'm going to ask you the question first, and then you try and answer. All right. Question 1. Who played a harp? You might have heard this story when you're in cradle roll. All right, there's your answer. David. Yes, some of you got that. All right. Who became a beautiful queen? See the crown? Right, Esther. Some of you missed that one. It's okay. You'll hear the story again. Who lit the candles for Eli? Remember that young man who was taken to Eli when he was young? Samuel. Yes, Samuel. Who watched over baby Moses? Miriam. Yes, that was his sister. Who was a carpenter, just like his dad? Jesus. Yes. Who was a farmer? This one is going to be hard for you. Elisha. Did you know he was a farmer? Yeah. Who took care of sheep? This was way in the beginning now. We had the second young man on the planet. Abel. Right, all right. Who was very smart. Okay, you might not remember this one either. Daniel. Last one. Who was a tent maker? Okay, you didn't get this one. All right, Paul. Paul. We have not heard many stories about him, but we might later on. So remember, you can do great things for God. You can help your neighbors. You can pray for them. And God cares about even the little things you do. So until next week, I will see you. Bye.
Hi, I'm Liz Berger, and today's primary memory verse is, be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. Romans 12 verse 10. Bye. Have a good day.
Good morning, Primary Sabbath School. Happy Sabbath to every one of you. Thank you, Lewis, for doing such a wonderful job with our memory verse. In today's story, we're going to hear about 2 brothers. They were twins, and they fought and they fought and they fought. Have you ever fought with your brother or your sister? I'm going to ask you one more question. Have you ever been so hungry that you can't think about anything else except for getting food? In today's society, we have a word for it when we get so hungry that we get angry. We call it hangry. Have you ever been hangry? You're so hungry that you get angry. Today's story, we're going to hear about two brothers. One of them is so hungry that he's willing to give a lot and trade a lot of stuff, a very important thing, so that he can get some food. Enjoy the story.
Imagine that you have been playing outside all day. Maybe you were playing with friends or helping in the garden. You come into the house and smell something really good. Someone is cooking in the kitchen, and all of a sudden you are very hungry. That's just how Esau felt one day. Let's find out what happened. Isaac and Rebekah had been happily married for years. Rebekah loved to remember the day she had met the stranger at the well. She had offered to water his camels, and her life had changed forever. Isaac praised the Lord for bringing her to him from so far away. Yes, Isaac and Rebekah loved each other very much. But something was missing in their lives. Rebekah was not able to have children, and it made her very sad. Isaac knew about God's promise to Abraham, his father. God had told Abraham that his family would become a mighty nation. Isaac spent a great deal of time wondering how that could be. How could a mighty nation come from Abraham's family? Isaac didn't have any children. It was a sad puzzle, one that Isaac longed to solve. Finally, Isaac pleaded with God. He begged God to give Rebekah a child, and God answered Isaac's prayer in a surprising way. Rebekah had not one child, but two. God gave Isaac and Rebekah twin boys. Even before the twins were born, they struggled together inside their mother. Rebekah thought this was strange. No one could explain why this was happening. Her husband couldn't. Her nurse couldn't. Neither could anyone else she asked. So Rebekah talked to God. She prayed and asked God what was happening. God answered Rebekah's prayer. He told her that the two children inside of her were very different. They would be the beginnings of two different nations, two nations that wouldn't like each other very much. One twin would be stronger than his brother, and the elder would serve the younger. Isaac and Rebekah named their twins Esau and Jacob, and just as the Lord had said, the boys were very different. Esau, the older, liked to travel away from home. When he wanted something, he wanted it right now. He liked to hunt and often brought his father things from afar, and he was his father's favorite twin. Jacob, on the other hand, liked to stay close to home. He learned how to take care of his father's flocks and herds. He learned to cook. He spent a lot of time with his mother, and of course, Jacob was his mother's favorite twin. One day Esau came in from hunting, and he was very hungry, and he smelled something good. Jacob was cooking something good. It might have been lentil stew. Esau stood before his brother and exclaimed, "I'm starving!" Then he demanded, "Let me have some of that." Jacob replied, "Are you really so hungry? Hungry enough to trade me your rights as the firstborn son?" Esau answered, "I'm about to die of hunger. What good will my rights do me then?" So Jacob gave him some bread and some of the food. Esau ate and drank, and then got up and left. He did not care about his rights as the firstborn son. All he cared about was how he felt at the moment. And because of that, he gave up something that would have been a blessing for the rest of his life.
Hi, my name is Gavin, And the text for this week is, Jonathan said to David, "Go in peace, for we have sworn friendship with each other in the name of the Lord, saying, the Lord is our witness between you and me, and between your descendants and my descendants forever." Then David left. Then Jonathan went back to town. At 1 Samuel 20:42.
Happy Sabbath, Junior families. We are on lesson 11. The title of this week's lesson is Arrows of Friendship. Now, this week's lesson is about David again, but we are learning about another component of David's life, that he was a good friend. And he had a best friend. His best friend was Jonathan. They were so good together. They were like salt and pepper, or peanut butter and jelly. And even though they came from different backgrounds, they were raised very differently, they both loved the Lord, and they loved Israel, and they wanted what was best for the people of Israel. And with both of them together, they, just like peanut butter and jelly, makes two plain pieces of bread taste delicious. Jonathan and David worked jointly to help and save the people of Israel many times in many battles against the Philistines.
Our PowerPoint for this week is, we trust and respect Christian friends who have same goals and values. Have a happy Sabbath, families, and I'll see you later at 1 p.m. for our Zoom class. Bye.
This is David. Maybe you've heard about him before. As a kid, he killed a giant named Goliath, and he ruled Israel as a king for more than 40 years. This is Jonathan. Jonathan was the son of King Saul, who also ruled Israel for a while. And Jonathan and David were best friends. Now, here's where it gets tricky. When David killed Goliath, Jonathan's father, Saul, was king. And at first, everyone was really happy that David had won. He even became pretty famous. But King Saul started to get really jealous. He was worried that David would end up taking his spot as king. The strange thing is, Jonathan should have probably been the one to be jealous. After all, since his father was king, he would have been the next one in line for the throne. But instead of being jealous or bitter towards David, Jonathan kept being a great friend. In fact, there were a few times when King Saul tried to hurt and even kill David. But every time, Jonathan protected his friend, even when it might have been dangerous. David was able to rely on Jonathan, and they were friends for a long time. The Bible says that Jonathan loved David as he loved himself. That's what Jesus tells us to do too. And that's just a little bit about David and Jonathan.
Good morning. Today's Early Teens memory text is, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law, and those who are Christ have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. Galatians 5:22-24. Happy Sabbath!
Hello, my early teens. How are you? Well, I hope. Well, now that you have 2 weeks of virtual schooling under your belt and you haven't gone crazy, you have survived, you're still alive, things should be closer to being smooth, right? Or at least this version of smooth. Well, let's talk about that this afternoon in our Zoom meeting at 1 o'clock. All right, so this week we studied lesson 11, and it's entitled Random Acts of Kindness. Do kindness. So, have you ever been the beneficiary of a random act of kindness? Or maybe you were the one who did an act of kindness, random or not. Well, let's talk about something else for a little bit. You know how they say that music and food transcend cultural boundaries? In other words, they bring people together no matter where they come from or what language they speak. Well, today I can dare to say that kindness transcends words. Kindness transcends words. Yes, An act of kindness can say so much more than any words you could say can convey. Now, what is kindness and what does it have to do with us Christ followers, us Christians? Well, just like when you see two golden arches, you know that there's a McDonald's nearby. When an act of kindness is being performed, that should be a sign that a Christian is nearby and in full action. So what is kindness really? Well, maybe it means that you will refrain from saying those salty words that are just on the tip of your tongue. Or maybe it means that you will let your sibling have another turn even though it's not their turn again, right? So it's basically putting others and their happiness first, as long as we're not harming ourselves, right? Now, if you can think of the kindest person that ever existed, maybe someone you haven't met, maybe Jesus would be right there at the top of the list, right? He was never unkind, and that's why everybody loved him, young and old. So if you're not sure what kindness looks like or what it could be like, well, think of what Jesus would do. And if you find it hard to be kind, well, just like any muscle that gets stronger the more you use it, the more you practice being kind, the better you'll get at it, and the more it will become part of your makeup. Now, in the world that we live today, kindness is so important because, boy, do we need it right now. And even our snacks are telling us to be kind. I found these chips at my house and they're saying, be kind. Ask someone about their day. Be kind. Take time to call a friend. In days of Instagram, WhatsApp, and Snapchat and texting, where a lot of us don't call people anymore, why don't you call someone this week and see how they're doing, right? So I want to encourage you to be kind this week. And if at first you don't succeed, try again, all right? So let's talk about this afternoon at our 1 p.m. Zoom conference. But in the meantime, why don't we watch a video on kindness? See you soon. And that was our Sabbath School lesson review for this week. Now parents, just like before and how we've done it this whole entire time, between now and the 11 a.m. service, it's your turn to review the lesson with your kids. Remember, if you need any extra help or activities, you can visit our website at miamitemple.org, and there you will find the links to all the Sabbath School classes for your kids. Download the Teacher's Edition, and there are many different activities that you guys can do with your children also during the week. As a reminder, if you want to join one of our Zoom classes in primary, juniors, or early teens, you can email me at children@miamitemple.org. It's a new email address, okay? children@miamitemple.org. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Storm of life, I know you're by my side, so I am holding on to your promises. You are the God who holds my future, all my dreams, so I am holding on. You'll never let go of me. You gave me hope when hope was all but gone. A second chance to sing a brand new song. You opened up my eyes to see. You rescued me, rescued me. You showed the way when there was no way out. Cleared up my mind when you erased all doubt. You made me strong when I was weak. You rescued me, rescued me. Storm of life, I know you're by my side, so I am holding on to your promises. You are the God who holds my future, all my dreams, so I am holding on. You'll never let go of me. I'm holding on to you. You are my God, I know you'll see me through. Hey! You are my God, I'm holding on to you. You are my God, I'm holding on to you. You are my God. You are my God, I know you'll see me through. You are my God, I'm holding on to you. You are my God, I know you'll see me through. Through every storm of life, I know you're by my side, so I am holding on to your promises. You are the God who holds my future, all my dreams, so I am holding on. You'll never let go of me. I know you're by my side, so I am holding on to your promises. You are the God who holds my future, all my dreams, so I am holding on. You'll never let go of me. I'm holding on to you. You are my God, I know you'll see me through. Hey! You are my God, I'm holding on to you. You are my God, I know you'll see me through. Hey!
You're watching Miami Temple Kids.